Developing Security Awareness with James Jardine, brought to you by Jardine Software. Hi, and welcome to this episode of the DevelopSec podcast. I am your host, James Jardine, and today I want to talk a little bit about a question that came in about a week ago, maybe a little bit more, talking about the confirm password box on your user registration screens. And so typically, I get a lot of these questions. People are looking for some advice from a security perspective of, hey, do I really need to have this? Can we do without this? Can we do something this way? Does that make sense? And so I thought it'd be interesting to answer this question, put it out there so other people, if they're having the same question, they can at least get some of my thoughts on it, of where I stand on it, of whether this is an issue or whether it's not an issue or whether it works for you. Typically, when I get these questions, the first thing I do is try to break down, what are you trying to do? And so they were actually pretty good in the question that came across was that, hey, we've got a question from the dev team. And by the way, these are clients that are asking this, right? This isn't just random questions off the internet, but please, if you have questions, feel free to send them over. These are clients that are asking these questions while we're going through these engagements, right? Because I like to be collaborative when I'm working with my clients and testing stuff. And as we're doing this, they bring up some different ideas. As we're talking security, things come up and stuff we weren't even covering gets thrown out here. And it works out really great, to be honest with you. So basically, they come across and they say, hey, we got a question about the confirm password box. We've got user registration. We're looking at doing this from a mobile perspective, right? We want a mobile app out there. And we're limited on real estate within the mobile UI. What's your thoughts on having the confirm box there or removing it? And it's pretty good detail of what they're looking at. They're good reasoning, right? They've thought this out of what they're doing. They already have a web presence and they have the confirm there. So I did a quick search just to make sure I'm not missing anything, because for the longest time I've dealt with confirm password. It's always been something I've always done when I've written any type of user registration screen. So I wanted to get a feel, has anything changed? Is there something out there that maybe I'm missing? And as I go through and I look, I see a lot of people saying, hey, look, it's a UI thing, which is something I knew, right? That it is something to help users from mistyping their password when they register, right? I go in, I put in my username, I put in my password, I mistype my password, and I submit it. My registration is complete. I go to log on. I can't log on because I mistyped my password and I didn't realize it. The purpose of the confirm box is that I know if I mistyped it, because the chances I mistyped it twice are pretty slim, right? So that's there to catch that for us. But as I went out and looked around, you see a lot of people saying, look, it's rare we're seeing people mistype their passwords, which I would agree. I don't think you really get a lot of people mistyping your passwords. But this is where we're starting from. It's the why are we doing this? And I just did a whole episode, it was episode 45, about the understanding of the why. Like, why is this important? We're thinking about this. And so as we think about the why are we doing this? That helps us better understand, do we need to do it or do we not need to do it? What's the risk that I have here? So if we take a step back, we look at the confirm password box, right? History tells us the confirm password box is there to help us prevent typos. So that way I know I typed my password correctly. So when I go to log in, I'll actually be able to log in. So my risk is that if I don't have the confirm password box, then possibly I may mistype my password, and when I go to log in, I'll be locked out basically because I don't know my real password. That is a concern, right? It's kind of a self-denial of service, if you will. And we want to avoid that, but we also have to look at, well, what's my happy path to get out of that situation? Probably older days, the path to get out would have been calling support. They'd have to reset your password. Then you could get back up and going, right? It's a big whole ordeal. And that could be actually a potentially pretty big problem, right? We don't want a lot of people doing that. It's a lot of overhead. It doesn't flow very well. But what if you're in a situation where the website actually provides a real easy way to reset your password? I've had this happen to me, to be honest with you. I've registered for accounts and I can't log in afterwards. Who knows for what reason? Maybe I fat-fingered. Maybe they don't take the character set I gave them fully. I don't know what happens, right? But maybe there's a reset password piece. So I can go in and reset it. It sends me an email with a token. I just changed my password then. Now I've had a second chance. I get it. It took me 2 minutes longer than it would have if I hadn't mistyped my password to begin with. But it was an easy solution. It didn't really affect a whole lot of effort. And I'm able to get into the application. I didn't have to call tech support, right? I mean, it was very simple, not complex, and an easy solution through. So we go back and we say, okay, why are we doing the confirm box? And then we have to start looking at, okay, what's our paths? What's our route to get people into the system? And we already know there's a risk to the password page, right? When I register, there's a chance I may mistype my password. If we already have thought this through, then we can say, okay, how do users reset their password? There's a link on the website. You fill in some stuff. It sends you an email, right? We've got that process down. It's perfect. We're great. Okay, if they forget their password or mistype their password, it's a pretty simple path for them to go in and change it. No harm, no foul. Maybe we don't need that as much, right? We also have this paradigm shift where you're seeing a lot more people focusing on using some sort of password manager. It's rare that I ever type a password into a registration screen because typically I'll put it into my password manager first, and then I'll copy it out of my password manager and paste it into the application. So I'm pasting my password. I'm not even typing it. So to have to sit there and confirm it, it's Command V or Control V, whatever system you're on, twice. Once in the regular password box, one in the confirm box. I didn't mistype it. It's the same. It's the same paste command I used. And so we're seeing a lot more people go into using password managers where they're pasting it in. So again, is the level of effort to have it, is having it there at all worth the extra effort to do it versus what we would lose or gain from not having that box altogether? From what I can tell, besides a potential denial of service attack of myself, there's really no other added security benefit from doing a confirmed password box, right? Again, it's really more of a user experience to help catch you typoing it before it gets up to the server and saving the wrong password. So as you come across these type of things, we should start looking at them from this level. And if that requires reaching out to somebody with more expertise or more experience is probably more the right way to go here with these type of questions, then that's great. Bounce it off some other people. Throw those ideas out there. Ask the questions. We've done things in software a certain way for a long time, and we're seeing a lot of things shake up. There's nothing wrong with looking at a way we're doing things and questioning it. Do I really have to do it that way? Do I really need to do that? And as we take a step back and we look at what we're doing, then we can really understand, I really don't need to do that. I'm okay just accepting the password once. I don't need a confirm box because I'm willing to take on that risk because the risk is really low for what's going to happen there. And if for some reason somebody falls prey to it, there's an easy happy path solution to get them back up and into the system in a very small amount of time, very kind of hassle-free. There are lots of companies out there. You're starting to see lots of websites now that don't require the confirmed password. So not everyone. I think there are situations where it still makes sense. If our happy path situation in this situation had been, well, if they are locked out of their account, then they have to call the support desk and they have to talk to a tech support person who can reset their password and do all this. If that's the level of effort that must be done, well, then maybe you want to focus more and say, look, we want the confirm box here because the effort, if somebody does fat finger it, is way too much. Even though it's a low risk item, we don't want to have to go through that. It's going to put more burden on us. So maybe they opt to keep it. But in other situations, you may not. So take a step back and look at what you're doing. Why are you doing this? What are the options you have that if you do it, where do you go? If you don't do it, where do you go? What effect does that have on the user? And then once we get all that understood, then we can make a rational decision of whether or not we actually need that confirm box or whatever piece of functionality it is that we have out there. So a quick little thing talking about the confirm password. I'm going to do a couple more of these where I focus on such a small little topic, but there are questions that come through asking things. Like, for example, I got one on like account lockout expirations and some different things like that I think would be cool to bring out short little listen, but it provides some perspective of how I go about analyzing this, so you can think about that as well when you get these questions or come up with these questions going through. Hit me up at DevelopSec or at Jardine Software. You can also reach me at james@jardinesoftware.com. Feel free, shoot anything over, any questions, any thoughts, feedback. I'm always open to listen to it, and hopefully we'll meet up at a conference someplace, or I'll get a chance to meet some of the listeners out there, because I really enjoy providing information out there. If you've got any application security services you're in need of, please feel free, reach out to me, let me know. We can talk about what you're looking for. We can talk about what we can do to help get you where you want to be and where you need to be. So thanks again for listening, and I'll catch up with you on the next episode. You have been listening to the DevelopSec podcast with James Jardine. Follow us on Twitter at DevelopSec and visit our website at www.developsec.com for more episodes and information.